The Hudson River is a central element of the geography of New York State. Many communities attached themselves to the river in order to benefit from its trade opportunities. If one were to drive along the Hudson today, one would find many of them. Red Hook is one example. This area is closely associated with the Livingston family name. In 1805, Janet Livingston Montgomery, sister of Robert and Edward Livingston, commissioned Montgomery Place. The estate overlooks the Hudson River and the Catskill Mountains. It is named after her husband Richard Montgomery, who died during the Battle of Quebec in 1775 at the dawn of the American Revolution. Lafayette came here to pay his respects to Janet on Sunday, September the 19th, 1824, during his farewell tour of the United States. Why did he stop here? Since Lafayette's time, Montgomery Place has become a shrine to nature, a sanctuary of peace and inspiration where all visitors are welcome. The property now belongs to Bard College. What are the responsibilities and the challenges that come with interpreting the legacy of the Livingston family? What does Lafayette's visit mean to the Bard community today? That's what we're here to find out. Can you speak about the changes in the architecture here over time, since 1805 all the way to the 1840s? What happened? Why did the architecture change here?
Janet Livingston commissioned the building of this mansion in 1805 in honor of her husband, Richard Montgomery, a Revolutionary War hero. The original style was Federal style, which is a kind of a serious rectangular shape, 2 stories. So in Janet's time, the land was a business venture. It was a commercial use. It was more closed in, it wasn't manicured in the same way. Animals roamed closely to the home as well.
We know that Janet was a slave owner, that she had 12 slaves listed in the census of 1820. Lafayette was an abolitionist. We know that he had a personal detestation for slavery, so the clash between the two views to me is interesting. What does celebrating Lafayette's legacy mean today at Bard, bringing his abolitionist background in the picture to revisit the Janet period of the building's history?
She did have 12 enslaved people listed on the census in 1820 through manumission in New York, which was 1827. The more we learned about Lafayette, the more we learned the universal appeal to his values. Personal freedoms, he was an abolitionist, a friend of the natives. He exemplified universal values that are important. The fact that Lafayette did want to come visit Janet knowing that she had slaves, I'm sure he wanted to get more of his points across to her, but they sat across the table from each other and had civil dialogue, which is really important.
The mansion itself, under Janet, it was narrowly surrounded by wildlife, nature, but it wasn't for recreational purposes, it was a commercial venture. So over time it changes, right? What do you make of that change in the attitude of the Livingstons after Janet passes away in 1828 about nature? What does it become here? More recreational, more trails? What does it lead to, and how does it impact the experience that we are having today?
Edward Livingston, her brother, was ambassador to France, spent a lot of time there, came back and brought views of nature and romanticism in the architecture, and the protection of nature became very important. They pushed back the farmhouse, for example, the farm buildings, and they made it more pleasure grounds for people to stroll and enjoy the outdoors. People are looking at the land in more of a recreational way. The fear of the land is lifted. We have trails built, a place where people can enjoy themselves. You're encouraged to be out in nature and interact with nature. There's more freedom. I mean, there's even the symbolism of the trees and the growth being pushed back. There are no longer animals right up to the front door. Well, I think we have to give Edward credit for that.
One thing that I find incredibly powerful in the story of Montgomery Place is this covenant in 1841 between Louise and Donaldson, the neighbor. In the middle of this industrial revolution, when you have many, I'm going to say, predatory industrials that are trying to conquer land for economic purposes, the Livingstons, Edward first, and then when he passes away in 36, Louise, and then Cora, their daughter, they stand in the way. They block the development of this area. How do we see that? What's the best message of this here on campus today?
So we have this property and the mansion still because of Edward's beliefs. He passes in 1836 and his wife Louise maintains the property, the same thought process about the importance of nature. They didn't want any more infiltration of the industrial revolution in this area. It's been said that one of the first environmental covenants happened on the property between Louise and her neighbor Donaldson. Both agreed to protect the Sawkill Creek, which runs through their property. And so in an attempt to preserve nature and slow the industrialization of the area, and that was one of the first environmental covenants.
What I've enjoyed doing with Bart is this collaboration has allowed us to explore many angles of Lafayette's legacy, explore its potential to unite, bring people together. That's what we're trying to accomplish, right? And to me, there's an interesting tie-in between the universal values that Lafayette upheld throughout his life and the universal appeal of the nature here at Montgomery Place. It's fantastic. I feel inspired just being here. It's calming, it's peaceful. What do you make of this combination, this continuum from the cultural values of Lafayette to the nature here at Bard?
It opens the conversation. It's important to have the conversation being on different sides of things. It aligns with our mission. We have a large global population, international population of students. It really aligns with Lafayette's values. Here at Bard and on this property, we welcome everyone. It's free and open to the public. You don't need a special seat at the table to come and enjoy the resource that it is. And again, this is in alignment with Lafayette's value. He was a friend to natives. He was an abolitionist. He believed in individual freedoms. And we do that here at Bard too.
The story of Montgomery Place, like that of the United States, is fundamentally transatlantic. The transatlantic angle enables us to weave a more complete story of the estate, one that encompasses topics such as architecture, nature, preservation, slavery, and abolition. Over time, the view that prevailed here is that nature is a fragile vessel for beauty, worthy of being protected, that it justifies the creation of a sanctuary to ensure its longevity. Today, under Bard's ownership, we see throughout Montgomery Place how this vision has remained central to the estate. Lafayette's lifelong advocacy for universal rights truly acts as a metaphor for how nature at Montgomery Place is meant to speak to everyone. Finally, his abolitionist background enables us to revisit the first period of the estate under Janet's control from a position antagonistic to her usage of enslaved labor. That's what Lafayette and his legacy can do today. Inspire, be guiding hands to engage in new conversations, create middle ground, and bring people together. Lafayette reconciles differences all over the country and even beyond. And we tell the stories where it happened.